Very good, thank you. So everybody, in front of you, there should be a survey, and we would appreciate if everybody would fill that out. We value your opinions and your thoughts, and you can turn those in to me when you leave. On the way out, I'll be sitting at the table to your right when you exit, or you can take it with you and complete it afterwards and turn it into the care services table or the check-in table. But we do encourage everybody to fill that out. And following this presentation will be lunch. So we invite everybody to join us for lunch. You should have a white ticket in the back of your name tag. You will need a ticket for lunch. So if you don't have one, you can go to the check-in table and get your ticket. And we'll get started here in just a moment when Mr. Hill gives me the go-ahead that he's ready. I want to give him all the time he needs.
Give a couple people a chance. I haven't seen them yet, but
Okay.
they'll come in.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and introduce our illustrious speaker. So Mr. Earnest Hill is a senior national service officer who has worked for the Paralyzed Veterans of America for 25 years. He was born and raised in Augusta, Georgia, and is the proud father of two, and he has a 14-year-old grandson. Ernest served in the United States Air Force with rank of E7. He's a Gulf War veteran and graduated from the University of Georgia with a bachelor's degree. He loves to help veterans and dependents with making a difference in their lives based on a difficult diagnosis, and I can attest to that. Ernest is a godsend to the ALS Association, so we appreciate his knowledge and getting the veterans service connected. Believe it or not, there's veterans that have this diagnosis and they don't realize what the VA does. So we're so grateful to have an appointed contact for the entire state. Ernest is also a member of the ALS Association Southeast Territories Leadership Council. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Hill. Thank you for your time, Ernest.
Hello, hello. Oh, it does work. Welcome. Hello, everyone. It's good to see everyone I haven't already spoken to in the last day or two. So just bear with me. I'm not going to do a slide presentation. We're not going to do all that fancy stuff. I believe, like we did last year, a Q&A is a really good meeting since we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to definitely do a Q&A. This is being recorded, so I've been asked to kind of repeat your questions. If you're talking kind of soft and we don't understand the question, I need to repeat it because this session is being recorded, okay? If you can talk loud when you ask the question. All right. So most of you guys know me. For those who are staff with medical associations and stuff, can you raise your hand, please? If you guys are, no, not you. If you're not a veteran, but you're with medical staff, can you raise your hand for me? You know, people like rehab, physical therapy, nurses, anybody like that? All right. Yeah, you guys. Oh, you guys. Thank you. Welcome. See, I knew they'd get it. Yes. Huh? Yes. So as I say, for what I do is, like I said, for you guys, I work with Paralyzed Veterans of America. I'm pretty much the first contact for most of our veterans when it comes to getting in the VA system with claims, benefits, and stuff like that. I refer, once I get the claims done, to my advocates that are in different areas in Miami and Tampa and sometimes all over the country, because Mayo will send me people from Cincinnati and different places. And so I refer to my people in those different states, okay? So I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna do a presentation slide because most of you guys already are service connected. So I don't have to go over the nuances of filing a claim and doing things like that. So I want to do a Q&A because as I found out last year, we had a lot of questions and we didn't have a lot of minutes to answer those questions. So I'll let you answer the questions, ask the questions, I'll answer them, and I may add a few things as we go along, okay? You guys are welcome to ask questions also. Anything that comes to mind, I'll be happy to answer it or try to answer it. If I can't, something's wrong. but we'll see what we can do for you, okay? All right, so with a show of hands, who would like to ask a question first? No questions? We done? Oh, we going to lunch early. I can't believe nobody's had a question. I've heard questions the last 2 days. Ms. Gaston? I answered all your questions? Oh, okay. Yes, sir. We'll go this way first. The question was, how does VA intertwines with Medicaid and Medicare? That's the question, right? To answer that question in a few words, it doesn't intertwine with Medicaid and Medicare in a lot of reasons, because VA is a self-governing organization that's going to take care of all their veterans. Once a veteran is 100% service connected with the VA takes care of everything. For our ALS vets, they should never have to pay out of pocket for anything, medications, equipment, and so on. So once you get in with the VA and you start getting services, Medicaid and Medicare is not an option because VA takes care of that. Government and government doesn't work together. Okay? Do we all understand that? Okay. Miss Georgia? I answered your question? Okay. Oh, okay. I'll just make it sure. Okay. I'll make sure you get that. I would say hitting on me in class. Come on. So my work number. Oh my goodness, I shouldn't say this, but it's okay. I'll give you my business card later. On that note, I'm flustered. We have, like I said, we have veteran service officers all over Florida. We have a guy in Miami. We have a person at the Tampa VA. We have service officers at St. Petersburg Regional Office. I handle Southern Georgia, Northwest Florida, and all that area, all the way down to Ocala. So, and plus I have some other offices that I do run up and down the East Coast, but that's a different story. So if my guys that you meet in the community aren't doing what they're supposed to do, contact me. So I am their boss. So that means I get a lot of calls when needed. Okay? Anybody in this non-VA section have? Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh. Yes. The question is, if a veteran stays way out in a rural area and they have transportation issues, or do they have to go to their local VA or to get out in the community care or anything like that? Pretty much what I'm hearing from you. The challenge is with rural areas is that sometimes, yes, it's a little hard to bring them into our VA. Sometimes. VA provides transportation for veterans, especially 100% service-connected vets. They'll provide transportation from 3 to 4 hours away. What they'll do is schedule what we call hot tail. Bring them in the day before, put them up in a hotel for their medical services the next day. So that's why it's important that they deal with their social worker. Very important, because the social worker sets that up within the system, and we'll bring somebody in from 3 or 4 hours away. We'll just set them up in a hotel, give them their services the next day, and the VA will take them back home. Sometimes it could get where maybe they don't want to travel that far. So we do things like community care. We prefer not to do community care because a lot of those facilities can't handle or don't know anything about ALS. So, but we prefer to try to bring them into the VA. Did I answer your question for you? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Uh, VA insurance? No. Let me tell you how the VA works when it comes to that. The question is, when a veteran gets in the VA, does it take a while for them to get equipment and different things like that? No, it shouldn't. And the reason I would say this, I'm going to give you an example. Can I use it? Sure. Okay. This young man right here, I just finally got him service connected last week. He has an appointment next week to see the VA. So when he goes to see the VA, he's going to see occupational therapy, PT, pulmonary. He's going to see everything that every clinician we need for him to see. Plus, we're going to work on rehab for him about getting measured for a chair and different things like that. If we're having that problem within the VA, we shouldn't, because the special emphasis is on ALS, where we try to be proactive than reactive. So we try to get everything in advance before they will even need it. Okay? All right. Yes, sir. Okay, I'm going to give you this story. I have a story for that. And the question is, why is ALS all of a sudden this presumptive condition that the government is really not saying why we have it and all this? That's what I'm saying. Where did it come from? Okay. Bear with me. In let's see, when I retired in 98, so let's see. Okay, so in 1999, there was a general. His name was General Mikolocic. He was one of the first guys that filed for service connection for ALS as a veteran. He got denied. At the time I was working in South Carolina, we met him. We filed a claim for him, an appeal for him. It took several years, and the ALS Association is in their registry, in their system down the road, it's in their data banks. He got denied. It took several years. We won the appeal and got him service connected due to the Gulf War. But also with the ALS Association help, we lobbied with Congress in order to make it a presumptive condition. Meaning a presumptive condition means a condition that we don't know when it really started or when you really had it, or we can't really tell what caused it. So in 2008, Congress came back and said, hey, we're going to grant service connection for ALS. And any veteran that comes in that has meet the requirements of 90 days of active service, no matter what period of service they were in, can get service connected for ALS. Not active duty for training, but for regular active service 90 days. So in 2008, we started filing hundreds of claims. During that time frame, the VA was only service connected those veterans at 30%. So a couple of years later, we went back into Congress. We lobbied again and said, hey, you should grant these veterans 100% upon diagnosis and long as they meet the requirements. Nobody knows from all the research that I've seen or anything like that. I have my own assumptions why I think veterans get ALS, have gotten ALS, and I think it's through the shots that they've had. That's the only opinion I have. It doesn't matter, but that's the assumption that I come up with. Did I answer your question? Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir. Dr. Weimer would like to answer something, and it might be a whole lot different.
Well, no, it's not going to be too far off. So this has been studied. this has been studied, and they started with retrospective studies based on the stories that Ernest was talking about, and they looked at the veteran population, and there is a twofold increased risk among veterans, and that's independent of service. So there's a twofold increase, and that's independent of whether you served internationally or just nationally, but it was active duty, and it was independent of the branch of service. The cause, as you said, is very much in question. I mean, there have been some studies out there looking at, they actually tracked down some of the hot spots within the Gulf War by doing this retrospective analysis. Where were the hot spots at these? And they found a couple of places that a lot of veterans had gone to that resulted with this. And they went back and looked, and they found things in the sand that could have been a chemical that was involved in it. So there's been a lot of looking at that sort of analysis. I've seen other analyses that have looked at, with football players, they talk about the concussions they get. Well, in the military, you get a lot. You get acoustic concussions. You get physical. There's a lot of concussions that can, micro concussions. We're not talking about major ones that can happen with the military. So there's theories on that. The burn pits, people have talked about that, although I've never seen that proven. But there's a lot of different theories. But as you said correctly, there's been nothing that's been consistently shown. But we know there's a higher incidence. So that's the answer to why I think they're doing that. I'd have to pull out that paper. They did this interesting statistics where they took the ALS patients and that were in the Gulf War, and they tracked where they were stationed over the time, and then they did this little propensity. I forget the name of the where you can say, well, what were the particular areas? And there were one or two that sort of lit up as places where they all had spent time in particular spots. So it was a nice analysis, but again, these are all statistical, looking at things that doesn't prove anything, but it raises questions. So,
For all you who don't know, this is Dr. Weimer. He's our neurologist at the ALS clinic in Gainesville, and he also works over at UF Gainesville. Did I get it all right?
you got it right, and except to say, the only thing you didn't say is I'm your biggest fan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Yes, sir.
May I say something to the group with my command voice?
Go ahead, sir. Can y'all hear him? Does he need the mic?
I think most of the pals are on this side of the room. If you're physically capable, and Ernest has answered all your questions on the monetary side and the health side. I found out about a year ago about adaptive sports through the VA. If you're capable of doing it, you ask for a consult from your local doc, and because it's ALS, everything gets expedited. I went to a summer camp in San Diego, and they will adapt the outdoors equipment to your condition. And so this isn't ALS, this is veterans all over. But we went surfing, we went kayaking, sailing, and they're fitting all these activities. Hope to go to Aspen to go skiing this winter. Now that's the big camps. Now your local recreation therapist will likewise see what you want to do. I got a power recumbent bicycle that I can go, but if you can't use your feet, you can get a hand cycle. They will talk with you, work with you if you have the desire, and athletics and being outside is part of your life. There's programs out there, but you have to know to ask for. So adaptive therapy or adaptive equipment, recreation therapy, and that's a consult through your doctor.
Thank you. You answered that pretty well. You said that pretty well. Thank you. All right. So one thing I do want to talk about real quick is there's a program out that some veterans know and some veterans don't know. And for you guys here in the medical community outside, it's called the Caregivers Program. Everybody know what that program is? Okay. So let me explain it to you. The Caregivers Program is a program where the VA will pay a identified spouse or caregiver for a veteran to be taken care of at home. It's a two-tier program. And what the first tier program is determined that the need of the veteran. If the need for aid and attendance is minimal, they'll go into tier 1. They meet the qualifications. it pays a certain amount of money at that tier 1 level. As the veteran condition changes, we move them up to tier 2, and that pays another pot of money that they'll pay the caregiver personally for taking care of that veteran. And this is opposite of what they may be getting for benefits and things like that. So this is an additional program because we've found that some spouses have to leave their jobs to take care of their spouse. So it's a supplemental income to help out when a veteran needs that kind of assistance. Okay? Okay. The question was whether it's for ALS or any other veteran. It's for all veterans. Specifically, since I'm just saying because of this group, but it's for all. A lot of my MS veterans get it. A lot of my spinal cord injury veterans get it. So it's an overall program for everybody. Okay? All right. Yes, sir. Wait, say that again? For that program? Okay. The question is, does that spouse or that person have to leave their job to take care of the veteran? No, they don't have to. I just said sometimes we find out that they do leave their job to take care of the veteran because of the severeness of their disability. But no, we have some that still work, and they're still on the caregivers program. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yes. Okay. So she wanted me to explain to you guys some of the programs that the VA have, some of the, like the Special Adaptive Housing Grant, the Automobile Grant, the HISA Grant, and the LAMP program. Whew, let's see if I can remember all that. All right. So the first one is the Special Adaptive Housing Program. That is a grant that's given to the veteran to help for modifications of an existing structure or to help build a new structure as long as it meets the VA requirements. That grant is $109,986. That's what that grant is. They have to meet certain, well, the qualifications are met because they're 100% and because of their disability. The thing about that grant locally is that contractors will have an issue with finding because of all the different hurricanes over the years. Cost of materials and stuff can be like that, because I know I have a couple in here that's been doing their house for like the last 9 months. They'll soon will be moving into their home, back into their home after 9 months. Well, living through the construction, okay. So it's taking them 9 months. I have a lot of veterans in the Panhandle and those rural areas that can't even find contractors to even do their homes. So it's a big grant, but it's tough to use around here because of lack of contractors and different people like that, or people who don't want to work with the VA. Yes, ma'am. And another one of those issues with that is that they say that the VA is slow pay and stuff like that. It's really not the fact that the VA is slow pay when it comes to that kind of stuff, why they don't want to work with them. It's because some of them don't want to do the requirements of what they're supposed to do. I've seen homes after construction has been done where, did somebody just tell me this yesterday? Where they looked at a finished project and then they happened to look up through their big sliding doors and saw a lot of open air space. Am I correct? So it's a lot that goes on with those programs. But you can also use that program to build a new home too. The way that works is that the VA will meet with a contractor and with the veteran. They will draw out what the plan should be for that home. based on modifications, as long as that home meets the VA standards, you can use that money as a down payment on a new home. Because I know I have somebody in here that's done that. Okay? We good on that one? Anything you want to say, sir?
No.
No, you good? Okay, you got that look. You gave me that look. Oh, okay. I already talked to your wife. We're going to talk. She already got me. I'll talk to her later. Okay, so real quick, another one of the entitlements is the automobile grant. It's the automobile and adaptive equipment grant. The VA will pay towards the purchase of a new or used vehicle, right now one time only, and then 30 years later, $24,115 towards the purchase of a new or used vehicle. Then the VA will turn around and adapt that vehicle up to almost an additional $35,000. Yeah, that's why we talk that we have Mobility Works and those people here now. But they will do that for the veteran, and generally there's some forms that we have to do, and we make sure that the veteran has the forms to take to the company and get that taken care of. It's a really good program. So we don't have a lot of problems with that, but in any case, sometimes we do, and we get involved when we need to. It's a total up to $35,000 in adaptions, up to, no higher. That van you're seeing out there is $80,000, adapted. So this is what I tell my veterans. No adaptation company people in here, is it? Okay, so this is what I tell my veterans. Get a nice used adapted vehicle with low miles. As we was talking to one of the vendors today, they was first talking to one of my veterans about getting a new vehicle. I asked them the question about a used vehicle. They have one coming in, a 2020, that has like 15,000 to 20,000 miles on it, right? You weren't listening. So, but that vehicle is a difference of at least $20,000. So instead of that vehicle being $85,000, it's $65,000. So if you add in the $24,000 with the VA plus the $35,000, you're only coming out of your pocket at $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to $10,000. Okay? So there's a way to work around the system. If you want to buy a brand new one, feel free. I never tell you not to, my friend. So we're good on that one? Yes, sir. Say it again. How do we initiate that? What area you live in? Central Florida? David Ray? You know that guy? No. Over at Lake Baldwin. Lake Nona. Okay. Do you know the service officer there for PVA? I'll put you in touch with him. Generally, the way it gets started is the service officer, when they do your initial claim, there's a form, VA form 4502. It's the Adaptive Equipment Automobile Grant form. Once the VA rates you 100, the VA certifies that form and send it to you. And that's the form you would take to the dealership. And once the dealership sees that, trust me, they know what to do to get paid. You do have to have, once you get measured for a wheelchair, you have to have a driver's eval. And it's not for you to really be driving the vehicle. It's because you have a specialized chair. It's mapped a certain way, and they want to make sure that that vehicle can accommodate that chair the way you need it. And generally, that's set up by your doctor also. They send in a consult for driver's eval. We good? We good. Anybody else? Yeah, I'm going to talk about that one. I saw a hand again.
Ernest, is there any other support for caregivers besides pay? Respite care, educational support, things along that line?
Okay. The question is there any other support for caregivers when it comes to educational and different things like that? Once a veteran becomes 100% service connected, a veteran's spouse and children under 23 are eligible for what we call DEA benefits, which is Dependent Education Assistant Benefits. The VA will pay towards books and tuition for their spouse. They can use that. They have 20 years to use that grant, 20 years. When it comes to the children, they have to be anywhere from between 18 to 23. They can use that. Okay? Now, when we talk about caregiver support, in terms of caregiver support, what are you talking about? Respite care. VA does offer respite care. They offer a certain amount of hours per week, per month, and per year. Every hospital does it a little differently, so I'm not going to give you this amount of hours here and this amount of hours here because even though it's supposed to be one VA, it's not one VA. That's my philosophy. It's not one VA. So, but they do offer respite care where I just recently had a family member of a vet, the father died, and the wife needed to fly to New York to attend the funeral for 5 days. So she called and asked for respite care. They brought the veteran into a local hospital, VA, and took care of him for 5 days. Or if he didn't want to travel that far, they'll look at a closer nursing facility that can handle him for 5 days for their respite care. Okay? So it's there. And all of our service officers are trained in that and should know about it. And if not, the social workers that we deal with are. They're the main source that we will send to. I don't try to always answer it, so I will refer to the social worker because that's their job. Okay? Yes, ma'am. If a veteran wants to be service connected? Okay, well, let me tell you how the system works here. Dr. Weimer is at UF, Gainesville. Dr. Pulley is at Mayo in, Jacksonville. They will contact me and say, Ernest, we have this veteran that we want you to help out. So they'll send me the information on the veteran. I'll call that veteran, explain the benefits, and make sure they meet their eligibility requirements, and I do all their paperwork for them. I send it in within I'm not going to say that time frame anymore. I used to say a month. I ain't going to say that anymore. So anywhere within 2 months, I get them service connected and get them in the VA system. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Is this good? Oh, let me talk about the HISA grant then. So the HISA grant is another benefit that the VA gives. It's Home Instructional Structure Alterations. It's a grant that the hospital pretty much gives. It's only $6,800 for a service-connected veteran. You can use that $6,800 to do something to a bathroom or something that meets that requirements of the $6,800. I used to always say use the HISA grant first before you use the big grant so it won't cost you as much to do certain things. You see what I'm saying? So talk to me. So that's that grant, okay? Did I miss anything? LAMP? Okay, LAMP is not covered throughout the state of Florida, so I don't really want to throw that out there because the LAMP program is only in Northwest and Northern Florida. Southern Florida doesn't do the LAMP program. So I don't really want to put that out there. You can talk to me, but I'll talk to you about that later, okay? I'm sorry? Huh? Uh-huh.
Stuff that she can get that you don't have to use that housing grant for. Like we have a rail system in our house.
ECU.
Yeah. And some other thing, whatever you need, and she can get it.
Okay.
And they just send it to you.
That's through the LAMP program. But let me throw something out. Excuse me. That's from the LAMP program, and like I said, it's handled in northern Florida. Well, and I'm going to tell you about what Georgia can do, just like I'm going to tell you about all that Florida can do. LAMP program is a special program where they use where the veteran doesn't even have to come into the VA, and they send out therapists and nurses to see them privately. Doesn't happen all over Florida, so I'm not going to cover that. But to cover getting things that you may need, like, let's say shower chairs, benches, hand bars or things like that, an ECU system or rail system within your home and stuff like that, all your doctor has to do is send in a consult to PTOT to have an evaluation done of your home. I'll say it again, a consult to PT and OT to have an eval done of your home. They will send someone out, look at your home, and they can get you all that stuff you need without having to pay anything out of your pocket or using any of your grants. And an ECU system running through a home, $20,000, $30,000. VA will take care of that, and you don't have to use a special adaptive housing grant for it. Anything you need, shower chairs and all that, they're going to take care of that anyway. But the biggest thing is that anything you would need, Hoyer lifts and all that, the VA is going to take care of all that. That's why I said at the beginning, no ALS veteran or veteran that's 100% with certain things should never have to pay out of pocket for anything. Sometimes there's an issue where they may have to, but if they do, they contact their service officer, and their service officer is supposed to help them out with that problem. We advocate for a lot of different things, and I'm not gonna. Other service organizations just don't do what we do, and I just have to say it bluntly like that. You can go to American Legion, DAV, Purple Heart, any of them. They do not run around the hospitals and do the things that we do to take care of our veterans. We love our veterans. We love you all. I have a space for you. I'm getting choked up now thinking about it. But I love you guys. And the passion I have for you guys, we all know, because there's some people that like to text me at 12 and 1 o'clock at night. But I do respond. I might hear it, and I will respond. She'll tell you. And there's some other people in here knows too. So I do take care of you guys, and I try to, and we know how it is, and I have that passion for you guys. Anything over here in this group that I've said, or anything that you can think of that you want to ask? No? Y'all ready to go to lunch, aren't you? What time is lunch? 12:15? 12:10? Okay, one more question. Hold on a second, sir. Yes, sir.
The benefits that the VA provides for someone who's a widow of a veteran. Could you cover some of that? Yes.
Okay. Whew, touchy subject, but we're going to talk about death benefits real quick. When a veteran passes, since we represent that vet, you contact your service officer. We will run you through the whole program of burial benefits and death benefits, just like we took care of your husband. We're going to do the same thing for the widow. When it comes to the benefits and payments, it's a whole lot different than what the veteran gets. Let's say a veteran gets $10,000 a month for benefits. When that veteran dies, the widow doesn't get that $10,000. They have a set cap right now, right? It's like $1,500 a month for life, and it goes up every year based on congressional raises and stuff like that every year. But that widow will be entitled to that pay for the rest of her life. She'll be entitled to property tax exemption for the rest of her life and stuff like that. And health insurance, CHAMP VA, she'll be able to have all of that, continue to keep that, Okay? Did I answer it all for you? And the VA will pay towards burial. If a vet is buried, let's say National Cemetery, the max that the VA will pay towards burial is $2,000. That's the max they will pay. Okay? Yes, sir.
Any word on congressional movement on that 8 year for raising the DIC level, or is that still stuck?
That's still sitting on Congress, somebody's desk. What he's asked about is that there's a congressional bill in that PVA even helped co-sponsor to raise at least half of the veterans' benefits that the spouse should get when the veteran dies. That's still sitting on a congressional desk, and it's been sitting on a congressional desk for years. I was just in D.C. earlier this year for advocacy, and they brought that up and shut it down just that fast. So, got to talk to your congressmen, senators, and all those local people that you like. So, that's what's going on. Yes, sir. Who, the spouse? No. Oh, you talking about for the increase? Let me tell you how that works. That's gone. The veteran has to live, once the veteran gets service connected at 100%, the veteran only has to live 1 year. After 1 year, full benefits to the spouse. It's 1 year, not 8 years. That was gone some years ago. So it's just 1 year. Okay? You're welcome. Anybody else? Hello, yes, ma'am. The question is, if a veteran is service-connected to all these benefits here in Florida, does it transfer to a different state? In most states, in all states, yes, except there are a couple of states where the property tax exemption is based on income, the cost of your home, property taxes, so they don't give the full property tax exemption like they do in Florida. South Carolina does, Florida does, Georgia does not. So it's based on a lot of key factors with Georgia. So, like, I'm a 100% service-connected veteran. I pay no property taxes in Florida. I move to Georgia, I'm going to pay somewhat of some property taxes. But all the other benefits that they would get as 100%ers in any other state, they would get all the other entitlements. The biggest one is property taxes in some states. Okay? We good? All right. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Anybody? Going once? Yes, ma'am.
A benefit that I didn't know about being part of the caregiver, me being the caregiver, they gave me a coach. And this coach helped me to set goals and kind of get my life back together and start getting excited again about things that I had left by the wayside. And I just wanted to share that because that coach really helped me get some of my joy back. It was really awesome.
Thank you. How do you get that, ma'am?
Well, they sent me a thing, email. But if you're part of the caregiver program, you could ask the person who got you connected to the care. Right. We're in the process of getting it. Okay. It'll come. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a statement. I have a big old voice. You're not going to compete here.
That's all right, but go ahead.
I have some clients that say that they have been 100% disabled by the VA, and they, at the time, were still very independent and didn't sign up for those programs.
Yes.
And now it's down the road, and it seems like it's more difficult to obtain those. Is there an easier, I mean, one person said, I don't want to lie. We're good right now, and 2 weeks later,
Right.
everything went to pieces.
Okay.
That's what happened to us. We were denied.
Yeah.
And
I
now
wasn't
I
going to
remember.
mention
we're
you.
doing it again.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the caregiver program. Okay. True. So, real quick, what she said is that they applied for the caregivers program. His condition wasn't that bad or severe enough for need for aid and attendance, so they denied it. The caregivers program is based on need of aid and attendance. You have to meet, there may be a criteria of 8 issues. You only have to meet several. But if you don't meet the several, they're going to deny that program. That's why I said let's go back in and file again. I don't like to appeal that one. We can appeal it. But if I got new evidence, if I get from the doctor, I'm going to go back in and reopen that claim, refile for that claim. But as you were saying, I've had somebody that got 100% 15 years ago, and they weren't that severe or that injured or anything like that, and now they are. They can qualify for the programs. And if somebody tell them they're not, they need to see their service officer, because there's ways around that. Don't be pointing at me. So let me give you guys my email address, because a woman having my phone number, I don't know. So, no, I'm just kidding. Oh, I'm sorry. She has a question first. Go ahead, ma'am.
What about counseling? Because I know with my husband just newly diagnosed, I know he doesn't talk very much about his situation. So what about counseling? Does the VA provide any type of counseling?
The VA does provide counseling. All we have to do is talk to the physician, and they can do a consult to mental health for counseling. We can do that. And ALS Association is good for some of you guys who have called in. We have monthly ALS calls where the dependents and the veterans call in, and we discuss a range of issues and different things like that. I see it's lunchtime. So, you hungry too? No? I didn't mean to throw you out there like that. So I just want to say, if it's anything else, I'm going to give you my email address. It's Earnest, EARNEST @pva.org. Ernest H @pva.org. Send me a message. I'll be happy to answer it, or refer you to the person in your area that needs to get involved with an issue. I'm happy to do that. I do it every day, all day, even at night. Somebody knows that. Okay? Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you.
So you guys can make your way out to the Butler. There is some food here in the hallway, but go all the way down to the Butler for food. White tickets you need. Don't forget your surveys. They're very important for us. Fill out those surveys.